Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives, YouTube Live videos. I took a few weeks off there to chill out and relax over the holidays. And I hope everyone had a good holiday if you celebrate Christmas or any other holiday that happens over the past the end of December, beginning of January. And Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone's kicked off the new year right. Feeling good after a few weeks off and ready to tackle all the cool stuff that's coming up in 2022. I hope you are too. But today I want to talk about performing optimally and performance in general, and why I think that everyone should be concerned about their performance. So typically, if you're when you hear the word performance, you think of maybe an athlete, right? Someone who's trying to perform in the sport or competition that they're competing in. You might think of some type of artistic performance, maybe a dancer or a musician, that type of thing, where they're performing in front of an audience. But a lot of people don't concern themselves with performance because they don't think that it applies to them. But I tend to disagree. I think no matter who you are, you should be concerned about your performance, right? Because you most likely have people that depend on you, and you need to perform at your best in order to help and support those people, right? It doesn't matter if those people are kids or grandkids that you might have. Maybe those people are an elderly person that you're caring for. Maybe they are other people you work with, your coworkers. Maybe they're, for example, you're a teacher, and you're educating someone about something, and you need to perform optimally in order to educate them. Or even if you're a hermit and you live by yourself and you don't interact with anyone and you don't see anyone, I would argue that you should be concerned about your performance because you need to perform optimally for yourself in order to survive. So I really can't imagine a situation or a person that shouldn't be concerned about their performance, right? And um, so the question then becomes, how do you perform optimally? Like, how do you get to optimal performance? What makes you perform your best? And obviously, depending on who you are and who you want to perform for and what your performance goal might be, we can get very narrow focused as to specifically what you need to do in order to perform optimally. For example, if you're a musician, you want to perform optimally. Some things you might do are going to be completely different from an athlete who's going to perform optimally versus a caretaker that's going to need to perform optimally, right? So you can think very specific towards who you want to perform or what your performance goal might be, but there are several things that I think that apply to everyone, no matter who you are, and that will help you perform optimally, right? And those things basically involve uh, uh, addressing any kind of ancestral mismatches that might be present in your life, right? So what do I mean by ancestral mismatches? Ancestral mismatches are basically things that you're doing in your life or have in your life or habits that you have in your life that are not aligned with what we have evolved doing over hundreds of thousands of years, right? And a perfect example is kind of sleep. I like to use sleep because it's a really good example of a mismatch that we have, a lot of people have and struggle with, that is completely obvious that it's not what we evolved doing for a long period of time and can really throw our bodies uh, in a frenzy if we don't address it properly. So for hundreds of thousands of years, we evolved um, by waking up with the sun when the sun came up and then going to bed shortly after the sun had set. And that's because once the sun had set, we had no artificial light. There was no electricity. There was no nothing, and we had to just pretty much go to bed because we couldn't really see well in the dark. We're not as good at doing that as some other animals might be, and that let us, made us very vulnerable by not being able to see. Right, we could injure ourselves. We could easily become prey, or food for other animals because we can't see what's happening around us. There's a lot of disadvantages to not being able to see at night. So, especially when other animals have the advantage and they can't see. So, what we would do is basically just go to sleep, right? The sun set, we'd hunker down in our caves or houses, probably huts, whatever, and go to sleep until the sun came up. And when the sun came up, we would get up and go about our business. But about 100 years ago, we had the invention of electricity, and that allowed us to now create artificial light and allowed us to create light at night when there was none, which obviously had huge advantages, right? It moved our society forward in many different ways, and has greatly contributed to the explosion of the human race and our health in some ways, and prosperity. And there's been a huge number of advantages for the invention of electricity. I'm not saying that electricity is a bad thing. However, some of the things that it gave us, or the abilities that it gave us, are not necessarily the best thing for our health, right? Because now we can stare at a TV 24 hours a day. We have light in our eyes 24 hours a day. We can now work at night when we couldn't work before. And so this has some negative consequences on our health, right? We can shortchange our sleep. We can stress ourselves out. We can do all kinds of things that we would never be able to do before at night, due to the invention of electricity. So I'm not saying that we need to, and then the downside of that is that we don't sleep and we don't, which then, or people have opposite sleep schedules. Some people, the people who work third shift, are awake at night and sleeping during the day. And we know that this disrupted circadian rhythm, waking with the sun and going to bed when it's set, has all kinds of negative health consequences, and is associated with all kinds of negative health outcomes that we know are pretty detrimental to us, right? So I'm not saying that we need to give up electricity and go by candlelight and go to sleep as soon as the sun sets, et cetera, et cetera. But there are things that we can do to better align our sleep-wake cycle to, better align with ancestral norms, what our bodies expect, right? So yeah, maybe the sun sets, you watch a little bit of TV, and chill out and relax, and maybe it's time to scroll a little bit on social media. Fine, no big deal. But as a few hours after the sun sets, you probably want to start getting ready for bed. So maybe you kind of turn off the phone, you get off social media, you put on some glasses that might block some of the light that's around you, that artificial light that's harmful, that's keeping you awake. Maybe you just, instead of watching TV, you read a book, as it gets closer to bedtime, or you do some meditation or something like that to kind of wind down, and then you go to bed. And you give yourself a decent chunk of time to sleep, at least try to give yourself, 7 to 8 hours or so of sleep time. And you wake up, maybe you get up before the sun comes up, no big deal, right? But you get up in a gentle fashion, you kind of ease into your day. You don't jump on the computer or the phone and start reacting to people. Maybe you do some light movement, you read a little bit to start your day off, you do some meditation, you get your day going. Take some time for yourself before that. And when the sun comes up, you get outside and get some sunlight in your eyes, and then start your day. And that would better align with what we would have expected and evolved doing over hundreds of thousands of years. And that would, both take advantage of the modern technologies that we have, as well as, better align yourself with the ancestral norms and help you perform better as a person, because you got adequate sleep, you didn't stress yourself out, therefore your appetite is better regulated, and et cetera, et cetera. So there's a number of these things that we want to try align to ancestral norms to perform optimally, right? So we talked about sleep, but there's stress, there's food, there's movement, movement as in just moving around. Does not include exercise. Then there is exercise and then social connection as well. So we want to try to align all of these things better in a better fashion to what we had expected to do over hundreds of thousands of years and kind of minimize anything that disrupts that mismatch. And so in my mind, no matter who you are, if you try to optimize those things, then you end up with optimal performance, or at least the opportunity to perform optimally in whatever you're trying to do. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete, a caretaker, a grandparent, a father, an aunt, an uncle, an artist, anything you want to do, a coworker, you can perform optimally, at least give yourself the chance to perform optimally by optimizing those ancestral mismatches in your life. And so if you're interested in doing that and you want to take that to the next level, I do have a couple spots open in my one-on-one health coaching practice. So they're going to fill up fast, and I'm not sure when the next time I'll be able to offer them are, because usually clients sign up for 6 or 12 months. So once they're full, I kind of get booked up for a while before I'm able to open them up. But I do have a couple spots open. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me. You can do that by leaving me a comment below, direct message me, email me. There's tons of different ways you can reach out to me, and happy to chat a little bit more about that. Or you can go to my webpage at rjbhealth.coach. And you can, right on the homepage, there's a link to schedule a discovery call. You click that out, fill out that form, and that will get to me, and we can talk more about that type of stuff. But if you're not ready for one-on-one health coaching, that's cool too. But you want to get some more advice on how to better perform optimally and minimize the ancestral mismatches that you might have in your life. You can do that by signing up for my newsletter. So if you go to my homepage at rjbhealth.coach, click on the newsletter link at the top, and you can enter your email address there, and that will put you on the newsletter where you can get all the information I put out about basically addressing all these things and how to go about optimizing your life to perform optimally. So be sure to do that, no matter who you are. And yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or want to know more, please leave comments below, and we can start a meaningful discussion about it. With that, I hope everyone has a good weekend, and I'll talk to you all next week.